It's one of those winter days where there's no cloud in the sky, and therefore everything's very harsh and bright and so damn difficult. I don't know how far we've walked, but probably, oh, not far, half a mile maybe. And I've not yet seen anything worthy of a shot. Nicky is with me today. He's got the camera. Has pointed out a few kind of holes in hedges and such, looking through, and they're quite nice framing. But I'm afraid they're framing to nothing, which is again another one of the problems. And this area has got so many power lines and telegraph lines through it, and they tend to just intersect. They slice through the skyline, or they slice through a tree line or something, and I just don't like them. I would try not to shoot them if they're there. I know a lot of people like this kind of human element in it, but to me they are just such harsh shapes running through. Again, even at a couple of pixels wide, they just grab the eye, because it's a path, isn't it? Yeah, and I don't like it. But here, there's a couple of things through here that I do kind of like, but I can see today going with just really a walk with a ton of gear on my back and a tripod in my hand, and no images. At a different time of day, this scene down here would be rather nice. You imagine if the sun were lower, I would have got out a lot earlier. It would be somewhere over there, and it could conceivably be casting some lovely, really long, deep shadows down this path, creating kind of zebra stripes in light and dark. But alas, we weren't out earlier. I mean, it would have to be a lot earlier, in fairness. And now it's pretty, but it's not terribly photogenic because the light's just all wrong. Again, probably not an image for today, but I rather like the way the new plantation of a hedge down here, you know, with those plastic kind of covers to stop deer and other animals eating it. It's just picking up the light from the sun, and it's providing this kind of a glistening border, if you like, to the outline of that wooded area up there. That's quite nice because it's a straight kind of curving, rising line. I don't know what I could do with it, but yeah, it's one of those things that's taken my attention on this walk, and I'm thinking, well, maybe there's something that can be done with that at another time. I mean, certainly not now, and obviously there's the issue of balance there. You know, there's not a great deal of balance here. There's a load of light, big load of dark, but it's the way in which these things are just kind of catching my eye, or providing some kind of thought process to think, well, what if this situation were with it? You see what I mean? The way the light's hitting this thicket of trees right the way across there, and I just like the illumination of it. It's absolutely nothing special, but with a long lens, I feel that there's something in this, and if we keep it at 16 by 9. So you can see we've got this shaded. I don't need to put my finger in this, do I? You can see it's a shaded area. And then you've got this kind of sliver of shade there, or you can position it so the shade isn't there at all. I'm not certain which is better. It's one of those, well, let's just kind of give it a go and see what we like. So kind of just a sliver of green, and then just the sliver of shade, and then perhaps open up and point down a little bit, and a sliver of shade, and then shade and green and shade, and all the time keeping out these bloody wires, because I don't like them. I think I may have said that already. I felt that I had to somehow emphasize this image. The harsh light always leads to difficulties, and I didn't quite foresee them at the time I was shooting this, but I decided that
the only way really to make this work was to put it into a real letterbox style of aspect. The image is grounded by the grassland at the bottom, which I feel has to be there. Otherwise, it's just that little bit too abstract. And I wasn't aiming for a particularly abstract image. I wanted something that was pretty obvious what it was. And I guess that even if you remove the grass at the bottom, then it's still quite obvious what it is, but it does become more abstract. Let me know your comments. Do you like it? Nicky's a real sucker for these oak galls. You can make ink out of them, you know. I've done a lot of talking about gear in recent videos, and there's a whole bunch of things that we don't need, and sometimes there are categories of things that we have never really thought about needing until someone says, have you tried? And this is kind of one of those, because I'm wearing a heated jacket. A big thank you to Gokozy for sending this out to me. I like layers. I like a lot of layers. Ordinarily, yeah, I'll walk out with a jumper or something on. I don't have a great deal of outdoor kit, but having a heated jacket is actually something I never really considered. I was umming and ahhing quite a lot about saying, okay, then I'll give it a try. But you know what? It's actually rather nice. Something I haven't said for some time when out walking is always look behind you. And this isn't by any stretch of the imagination a great shot. I might turn it into something nicer in post, but the light's just really harsh. But I am a sucker for paths leading down to kind of nothing. There's an issue with it, which is all of these plastic plant protectors running down here. Earlier I said I really like this kind of shape of them up there, and here, because I'm really only catching them right at the turn of the path or the track down there, they really do kind of grab the eye, and they're just a little bit too harsh, so I've had to come up the bank over here, because from over that side they're too visible. But long lens and really just straight down there and avoid what few bits of plastic remains. It's as good a shot as I'm going to get in the open spaces around here today, I'm sure. The light was so harsh here, perhaps I should have underexposed it a little bit more just to get some detail in the grasses. It was not the greatest shot I'd ever taken, but with quite a lot of post-processing and more than I'd like, in fairness. It's what it is. You never know what you're going to stumble upon, do you? This gate clearly has had some paint in recent years. Maybe even in the last season or so, this brambler started growing through it. But isn't it just so graphic? So it's so in your face, isn't it? The red of that hinge, and yeah, the white just stands out. And this is arguably one of those times where perhaps the light directly on it, because it really is straight behind us. It's kind of helping. Yeah, it's fluorescing a bit. I do have to control those highlights a lot, but there's a lot of potential compositions involving this gate, because of course it's down the lane, the same lane that we've been walking up. I mean, we've still only walked maybe half a mile from the cottage, and you know it's kind of there. So you kind of got options of it in kind of 3/4. It might be more difficult to get a shot of it going down the lane, kind of leading into it, purely because it's a little bit too far off on the verge there. It's difficult to get an image kind of leaning around, and also the lane curves around that way, kind of out of sight. But I've got one or two images of it so far, more detail shots of it rather than environmental shots of where it is. That may be more of a challenge for me, but I'll stick up what I have, and I hope you like them. I really thought I was going to get more out of these images than I have. Just a real amount of underwhelming these. The square crop, I had to go in really quite tight to get to a point where I felt that there was something there. I thought that the colour contrast was going to work, and to me it didn't. Let me know what you think. Now, as someone that tries not to turn the heating on in the house very often, because let's face it, energy is incredibly expensive, having a warmed jacket, a heated jacket, actually makes a good deal of sense. Until our energy prices went sky high, a lot of us might not have thought too much about turning the heating on and warming the house. But now there's a big difference between being able to afford the rent and the food and everything else, and having a choice between whether we heat the space that we live in or whether we put more clothes on and just get cold. If you think of it like that, then an investment of a warmed garment is, I'm going to say, almost a no-brainer, given especially that these things are powered using battery technology. I've just got a battery pack in the pocket of this. There's a specific pocket inside it to take the battery, and it will run for something like 7 hours on its lowest setting and cost next to nothing to recharge. And also being able to keep warm on a cold winter's day walking outside without necessarily wrapping up and feeling like Michelin Man with layer upon layer, then there's a great deal of sense in having one of these. As is so common when I start talking about things that I don't like, suddenly I start to incorporate them into a photograph because suddenly I do like them. Maybe I don't know my own mind. Who knows? Anyway, and we can see Nikki down there. That's the path. And from down there, I caught a glimpse of, let's twist this around. It's very bright this way. What you should be able to see is the church tower over there, which seems much closer than I anticipated it would be. Anyway, and we've also got the telegraph line or power line, whatever it is, going through, and the post that it's on. And from down below here, I couldn't see the church tower, but I could see the telegraph pole, and you see it's higher, and it's set against this, I don't know whether it's elephant grass or something in the field, which is really picking up the light. And there was just something about it. Now, there's no colour or detail in the sky, or very little. I doubt very much that I can pick any of that up, because what I'm desperately trying to do is push the exposure up so that I do pick up some of the detail and the highlights in this grass here. And it's just it's not quite a silhouette, but it's really nice, and I hope it's producing quite a nice image. This for me is the best shot of the day. There is another one coming up towards the end that I really like, but that's had a lot of manipulation to get it to where it is. That's not to say I didn't see where I had to take it, but you know, it was it's a nice image. This image has had some level adjustments to pull down the highlights in the sky to get some of that detail back and to really kind of add some contrast in the crop. But I knew I'd have to do that anyway because the exposure was just so difficult, looking not directly into the light but in that direction. I did hope that we were going to get some more time out, but Nikki started feeling a bit rough, so we came back. We had a really good look at this jacket. Nikki is a very skilled seamstress, and she knows what she's looking for, so I've asked her to go around and check the stitching and everything. And unlike so many garments these days, it's actually really well put together. There's a couple of gripes. She did come up with a couple of things. This thing is fully washable. You can put it into the washing machine. Obviously, don't stick the battery in the washing machine. That really would be a bad idea. The care instructions on the inside label here don't match the the care instructions on the back, which is slightly worrying. There's other paperwork that comes with it, so yeah, you can kind of clarify a little bit more from this. But this is a kind of polar fleece. It's really thick. It's really warm. I mean, it's warm without actually turning the heating panels on. In terms of heating panels, you've got these couple of controls here. One controls the back and the neck, and one controls the front. And there's an indicator on here to tell you the battery power level. It's really rather nice. So as I said, there's a heated panel here. There's one in the back, which is kind of central there. You can feel it through the fabric. And you've got a couple in the front, which are, in actual fact, you probably can't from there, but you can see it stitched in there. I was incredibly happy with this product, wearing this. I've worn it a couple of times out, and it's very warm. As I said, even without the heating, it's very warm. But it's a nice thing to wear, and to feel that warmth on your back as it's kind of just radiating that heat through, works incredibly well. I really enjoyed wearing this, and I've worn it inside as well. I had it on. We had a really cold snap a couple of days ago, and I had it on throughout the day. And yeah, it's good stuff. There's another gripe. And that's with the zip. Now it's not a branded zip, which is a shame. I'd prefer to have seen a YKK zip or something on there. I sound like an expert, don't I? But I've been kind of involved with zips and such for quite some time, because I ran a boatyard and we had canopies and such, and you needed the absolute brilliant, most best zips you could get in those, because if you didn't and they broke, you're into hundreds of pounds to replace a zip that goes kind of from there to there or something. So zips, I know a bit about them. And what I found really strange about this is the zip on this side, the pull, is on the wrong side. Now, when I say the wrong side, to me in the UK, having the zip on the right side here is the wrong side. It should be on the left, which basically means that you're kind of backwards in putting this on, and that's a bit strange. I mean, it's a minimal gripe, I have to say, but yeah, I'm duty bound to point these things out. But overall, I really like that. Obviously, there's links down below. It's a Gokozy polar fleece. That's fat bugger size for me. Also, the battery, little battery pack. There's not a lot of weight to it. This is peculiar to this jacket. This outputs 7.4 volts for the jacket. Charges with a USB-C connector there. Got a battery power indicator on top. So jacket plugs in there, but also if you need it, it's a USB power bank as well. So there's a USB-A output there to charge other things, and that's a 2.1 amp output. I'll leave you with one or two other images from around this area. This is North Reps. I'm in our holiday cottage where I tend to spend winter. This is available throughout the spring, summer and autumn for holiday lets. If you're interested in the area, Cromer is 3 miles that way. Yes, straight through you. And you can walk to the beach. In actual fact, I did that in a previous video, link up here or at the end. And that's like a 25-minute walk for someone as unfit as me. And yeah, anyway, waffle too much. Oh, yeah, prints. I sell prints as well. That's one of mine up there, if you're interested. I will leave you with a couple of other images from around the area. And thanks very much for watching. And yeah, we'll see you on another one. You'll appreciate that a lot of my post-processing these days takes things back into more of a retro feel, which is what I've done with this. It's a personal choice. You either enjoy it or you don't, I suppose. Just up the hill towards Overstrand is this wonderful vista over a field, and the light this evening was stunning. Quite a lot of post-processing on this, but I think this works. I like this.